The judge had just lifted the wooden gavel when an icy silence swallowed the courtroom. A billion-dollar empire that had taken decades to build was only seconds away from collapsing forever. Across the room stood a young attorney everyone underestimated because of her quiet confidence and humble beginnings. Few people knew that 15 years earlier she had been a frightened homeless child sitting alone on a park bench with nothing but a worn backpack and a broken heart. Even fewer knew that the man about to lose everything was the same single father who had once chosen to save her instead of walking away. In the next few minutes, the forgotten little girl would return the greatest act of kindness ever shown to her and change every life in that courtroom forever. If you believe kindness, forgiveness, hope, and second chances can change lives, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to our channel to become part of our community where stories of compassion continue to inspire hearts every day. Graham Mercer had never planned to become anyone's hero. 15 years earlier, he was simply a hard-working single father trying to raise his 8-year-old son, Nolan, after losing his wife to a sudden illness. Every day was a careful balancing act between running a small engineering company and making sure his son never felt alone. The business was struggling then. Bills piled higher every month, competitors circled like vultures, and Graham often skipped meals so Nolan would never notice how close they were to losing everything. Still, he believed there was one thing poverty could never steal from a person: the ability to be kind. One bright autumn afternoon, while walking home from a meeting that had ended with another rejected contract, Graham noticed a young girl sitting alone beside an old fountain in a public park. She couldn't have been older than 10. Her clothes were clean but worn beyond repair, and she held a tiny backpack against her chest as though it contained the only pieces of her world that remained. People walked past without slowing down. Some glanced at her before looking away. Others pretended she wasn't there at all. Graham almost continued walking too. After all, he barely had enough for himself and his son. Yet something in the girl's exhausted eyes reminded him of Nolan on the day they buried his mother. He sat beside her without asking questions. The child hesitated before revealing that her name was Clara Whitmore. She had lost both parents within months, had been passed through temporary shelters, and had finally run away after suffering neglect in a foster placement. She trusted no one anymore because every adult who promised safety eventually disappeared. Graham listened without interrupting. There was no dramatic speech, no miracle, only a quiet decision forming inside his heart. Before leaving that park, he promised himself he would never let another child believe she had been forgotten. The adoption process stretched over many difficult months. Social workers questioned whether a struggling widowed father could provide for another child. Graham answered every concern with patience rather than anger. Nolan surprised everyone by insisting he wanted a sister more than another birthday present. Eventually, after countless interviews, home visits, paperwork, and financial evaluations, Clara officially became part of the Mercer family. She entered their modest home carrying only that faded backpack, but she brought something much greater with her, a determination never to waste the second chance she had been given. Life was never easy. Graham worked through long daylight hours building his engineering company one project at a time. Clara and Nolan studied together at the kitchen table, helping each other through homework while cheering every small victory. Graham taught them that honesty mattered more than wealth, loyalty mattered more than success, and compassion mattered most when it was inconvenient. Instead of expensive vacations, they celebrated with picnics in local parks. Instead of luxury gifts, they treasured handwritten birthday letters describing how proud they were of one another. Those simple traditions quietly built a family stronger than any fortune. Years passed, and the tiny engineering business slowly transformed into Mercer Dynamics, an innovative manufacturing company known for ethical leadership and groundbreaking clean energy technology. Graham never forgot the difficult years, insisting every employee receive fair wages and opportunities for advancement. He established scholarships for foster children, believing that every overlooked child deserved the same chance Clara had received. Investors praised his business instincts, but employees admired something even greater, his humanity. Clara flourished in ways no one expected. Inspired by Graham's unwavering belief in justice, she pursued law with relentless determination. She excelled in university despite juggling internships and volunteer work for children in foster care. Professors described her as brilliant but remarkably humble. She never sought attention, only truth. Every diploma she earned reminded her of the man who had once chosen love over convenience. Nolan followed a different path, becoming the creative director of Mercer Dynamics. Brother and sister remained inseparable despite their different careers. Graham watched them with quiet pride, convinced his greatest achievement had never been the company but the family sitting around his dining table every evening sharing stories of their day. Success, however, attracts enemies as quickly as admiration. Mercer Dynamics eventually became worth billions after developing revolutionary energy systems adopted worldwide. Competitors who had once mocked Graham's modest beginnings now envied every contract he signed. Among them was Victor Langford, a ruthless corporate executive whose company had repeatedly failed to outperform Mercer Dynamics. Unlike Graham, Victor viewed loyalty as weakness and compassion as poor business strategy. After years of frustration, he devised a plan not to compete fairly but to destroy Graham completely. Victor secretly recruited corrupt consultants, manipulated financial records, bribed former employees into making false accusations, and orchestrated an elaborate lawsuit claiming Mercer Dynamics had stolen patented technology. News outlets eagerly spread sensational headlines. Investors panicked. Stock prices plunged. Longtime business partners began distancing themselves from the company. Public opinion shifted almost overnight. The legal battle grew into one of the largest corporate cases in recent history. Experts predicted Graham would lose not only his fortune but also his reputation. Reporters gathered outside the courthouse every day, eager to witness the fall of another billionaire. Friends urged Graham to hire celebrity attorneys known for aggressive courtroom tactics. Instead, Graham surprised everyone by asking Clara to lead the defense. Many doubted the decision. She was accomplished but still relatively young compared to the veteran lawyers representing Victor. Critics claimed Graham's emotions had clouded his judgment. Social media exploded with predictions that sentiment would cost him everything. Graham never responded publicly. He simply remembered a lonely little girl on a park bench and trusted the woman she had become. For months, Clara immersed herself in every contract, patent, engineering blueprint, financial statement, and witness interview connected to the case. She rarely slept more than a few hours. Graham often reminded her that winning meant nothing if she sacrificed her health, but Clara insisted she owed him more than success. She owed him every ounce of effort she possessed. Slowly, patterns emerged that others had overlooked. Tiny inconsistencies appeared in supposedly authentic documents. Time stamps failed to match archived engineering records. Confidential emails contained metadata proving they had been altered. Anonymous witnesses shared identical phrases, suggesting they had been coached. Piece by piece, Clara uncovered a conspiracy far larger than anyone imagined. Still, evidence alone would not guarantee victory. Victor's legal team remained confident, presenting polished arguments designed to overwhelm the court with technical complexity. Financial analysts painted Graham as an unethical businessman hiding behind a charitable image. The pressure mounted with every passing day. Throughout the trial, Graham never lashed out publicly. Instead, he continued visiting company employees during lunch breaks, reassuring anxious families that they would face whatever came together. Many workers had been with him since the company's earliest days. Some remembered when Graham personally repaired broken machinery because hiring technicians was too expensive. Others remembered him quietly paying medical bills for employees without expecting recognition. Their loyalty remained unshaken because they had witnessed the man behind the headlines. The final hearing arrived beneath clear blue skies. Every seat inside the courtroom was filled long before proceedings began. Journalists prepared headlines predicting either spectacular defeat or miraculous survival. Victor smiled with absolute confidence. Clara appeared calm. When her opportunity finally arrived, she did not rely on dramatic speeches. She relied on truth. Methodically, she dismantled months of deception. She revealed altered digital records using forensic evidence. She demonstrated how crucial documents had been fabricated after the alleged theft occurred. Independent experts confirmed her findings. Former conspirators, confronted with undeniable proof, admitted they had accepted money to provide false testimony. One executive unexpectedly confessed that Victor himself had directed the fraudulent campaign. The courtroom atmosphere transformed completely, confidence vanished from Victor's face, shock spread across every row. Then Clara produced one final piece of evidence no one expected. An internal recording documenting Victor's private strategy meeting where he openly discussed bankrupting Mercer Dynamics regardless of legal merit because destroying Graham's reputation would eliminate his greatest competitor forever. Silence filled the courtroom, even seasoned attorneys lowered their eyes. When the judge reviewed the evidence, the outcome became inevitable. Every fraudulent claim against Mercer Dynamics was dismissed. Victor's company faced criminal investigation for conspiracy, fraud, and obstruction of justice. Mercer Dynamics was fully vindicated. As applause erupted outside the courthouse, Graham remained seated for a moment, overcome not by relief but gratitude. He looked toward Clara, no longer seeing the accomplished attorney standing before the judge. Instead, he remembered the frightened little girl clutching a worn backpack beside an old fountain point. 15 years earlier he had offered her a family. Today she had protected everything that family had built. Reporters rushed forward demanding interviews. Cameras flashed endlessly. Microphones crowded around Clara, asking how she had defeated one of the country's most powerful legal teams. Her answer surprised everyone. She explained that laws could protect businesses, but love built families strong enough to survive impossible storms. She said every success in her life began with one ordinary man who refused to ignore a lonely child because kindness had no price tag. She insisted the true victory belonged not to her but to the father who had taught her integrity long before she entered law school. Across the crowd, employees embraced each other with tears of relief. Investors who had abandoned the company returned with apologies. Communities celebrated the restoration of a business known not merely for profit but for compassion. Months later, Graham announced something unexpected. Instead of celebrating with lavish events, Mercer Dynamics established the Clara Whitmore Foundation, providing legal support, education, and housing assistance for children aging out of foster care. Thousands of young lives soon discovered opportunities they never believed possible. Graham gradually stepped back from daily leadership, placing greater responsibility in the capable hands of Nolan and Clara. He often smiled quietly while watching them work together, realizing his greatest legacy had never been measured in billions of dollars. It was measured in people whose lives had changed because someone chose compassion instead of convenience. Visitors entering Mercer Dynamics headquarters noticed one unusual photograph displayed in the main lobby. It showed an ordinary park bench beneath warm afternoon sunlight. Beside it hung a simple plaque that read, "Every great future begins with one act of kindness." People often paused before walking on, some smiled, some cried, many left determined to become the reason someone else's story changed forever. Before this story ends, please leave a meaningful comment telling us whether you believe one small act of kindness can truly change a life forever, because your words may encourage someone who desperately needs hope today. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another emotional journey. Remember that fortunes can be built through intelligence, but families are built through love. And sometimes the greatest investment we ever make is simply believing in a child when the rest of the world has already given up.